Good evening and welcome back to another episode of the Terry McGriff Show. I'm your host, Terry McGriff, along with my relaxing, rehabbing co-host, Andre L. Sullivan. Not at the iHeart Studio this week, but you're chilling. Okay.
Yeah, man. Hey, I might take up on this. I like this. I ain't gonna lie to you, Coach.
Hey, you making it do what it do. We gonna make the show go on regardless, man. Believe me, I was in the hospital yesterday going through some stuff, man, and thank God I got through it. I'm better. And it's like crazy, man. This 2021 trying to take people out, man. It's crazy. And so, and then well, on a quick sidebar, I just want to give out condolences to heard about the loss of Rush Limbaugh today at age of 70 to cancer. And I was like, my goodness, he was a radio icon, and was surprised to see that because, when you seen him, he looked fairly healthy. So that kind of took me aback back there. So once again, condolences to him, regardless of what your thoughts on his political opinions and stuff. He brought a lot of people to the radio and to a lot of stuff that was going on, whether you agreed with it or you didn't agree with it. So, just condolences once again to his family and, wish him all the best during this trying time. But man, let me tell you, it was just one of these crazy weekends so far for me. We had a lot of stuff that we had to get going on. I mean, I said I had some stuff that really bothered me and I just wanted to say, I'm just happy to be here. And I'm glad you're happy to be here. We back here. Just before we get started, just want to give a shout out to everybody about our sponsors, She Car, Teen Sports Better Rec, Watch Game Film, Women's Tackle Football League, and Laces Out. Which one of the things we're doing with Laces Out, we're going to be doing a fund drive for try to help with this. Because the proceeds are going to the DEMP project, which these ladies and these gentlemen, they go in and physically get these victims of the sexual trade and sex trafficking out of those things and put them in safe houses. So I think that's a really good thing that we want to get behind and support. So I'll put more information as we go along about that camp and about the DEMP project and a couple other things that they're working on to try to help people. One of the things we're going to get into our show today is we just want to talk about some of the stuff. Good news is for us, college football is back. We got the FCS full schedule this week. It's going to be real fun. Then we're going to get into some Urban Meyer. He had some tough lessons he had to learn over the last week. Then we're going to talk about I think we started a little bit on it, but we're going to get into some more NFL quarterback movement conversation. And lastly, the Jaguars are going back to their basic colors again, about dang time. So, we'll get into that and let's see what we go on. So let's jump right into it. I'm going down to do if the game still goes on, the color commentating, which should probably been you, with Mr. Jackson, for the Jackson State Edward Waters College football game Sunday. 2 p.m. So tune in. And we want to make sure, we're hoping that everything goes on. I think we'll know by tomorrow whether that weather permits that game, Had to go do my COVID testing. Thank God I passed it. So I'm good with that. I think I got a ticket again on Friday. So once I get that, I'll be good to go. It's crazy. All these with the NCAA, all these COVID things that you got to go, all these different things that you have to do. I think we did to do a total of 3 this week. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know if I could do this on a continuous basis. Them players and those coaches, I kudos out to them because that thing is not comfortable taking that test. There's going to be some pretty good teams and some pretty good matchups. Like I was just going to kind of basically, talk about ours. I know the staff and all the folks are excited to be able to go over there and take on Jackson State. I think it'll kind of put them on the map, being able to do anything of competitiveness. But I've been there a couple of the practices. Those guys are working hard. They look really good. I was surprised not surprised because of the coaching staff, but they look really good. They got some young talent over there. They're going to be a good team. Whether they win this game or not against Jackson State, I think they're going to have a pretty good season, even the 5 games. Stadium looks beautiful over there, so it's going to be something else. That school's really coming up and coming up fast. These other big time games in your FCS, it's going to be. I know South Dakota State. I think they're getting ready to play. That's one of the teams I like. It's going to be interesting to see how they go through this season, and then kind of have that really short break before they get it back into the fall season. So it's going to be interesting. I just want to get your take on that.
Yeah, man. Being a person who played collegiate football in the FCS, a lot of cameras didn't always come our way, but at the end of the day, a lot of great football was played.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the games I probably have my eye on is Morehead State versus James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
2 teams, my alma mater, Jacksonville University, used to play a lot, as well as Lincoln against Nicholls State. That's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
People, if you're looking for great talent in those lower rounds, please tune into that game. I promise you won't. You will definitely be intrigued. Davidson plays Elon. That's 2 teams. The Dolphins usually play. Mercer goes to Wofford, and of course here Edward Waters goes to play Jackson State. And Tennessee State plays JSU. That's going to be a great game. Don't sleep on that. As well as Youngstown State, playing North Dakota State up there in North Dakota. So, FCS football getting underway. It'll be interesting to see how many eyes. Of course, I think a lot more eyes get to view the game this way.
Mm-hmm.
Than it would if it was during a regular season. Of course, FBS is always going to take that shine, and rightfully so. But having these lower level collegiate teams getting ready to start up here in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
This is the time for those young men and women to kind of get their shine, and we'll be looking forward to seeing them. Of course, a lot of these games won't be televised, but they'll be viewed on ESPN Plus and ESPN3, and it's going to be interesting to see them play. Some teams and some universities decide to sit out this spring. Just be patient and wait for the fall and see how COVID plays out. But overall, a lot of teams will be fielding their programs this Saturday and many Saturdays to come.
Yeah, and well, if you can chance, yeah, like I said, ESPN is going to have a lot of these games on. Not mistaken, like you're going to have some of them, definitely ESPN3. So if you got that app to get ESPN3, I definitely encourage you to do that. And obviously, there's other ways to catch these games. Actually, try to get to some if you can, because I think they still are allowing fans at a lot of these games. I know it's going to be a lot of media at our game because it will be Deion Sanders' first college football game that he'll be coaching. And he's got some pretty good talent supposed to be transferred in, and both of his sons went to go play for him. So it's going to be interesting. I already know there's going to be tons of scouts at all these games because they're the only game in town right now. They're the only thing that's playing football outside of you trying to work with the combines. And a lot of these pro days are going to be done virtually. I know a lot of the training places where these guys are training for the combines are already doing their own individual combines, and they're obviously the scouts and coaches can't attend those, but they're definitely going to get the films. They're going to get the tapes and see what those guys do in those workouts. So it's going to be very, very interesting, as we go forward, because the FCS, like I said, if you haven't really got a chance to watch that football, it's really good football. You can go through the NFL and see tons of talent on those rosters right now at this level. Take the Jaguars. I mean, look at our number one running back, FCS school, James Robinson. So these guys have tons of talent, and it's going to be a very good watch. There's no excuse for saying you ain't got football, because there's going to be a lot of good football to be played right now. And I'm just telling you, I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm looking forward to the season, even though it's going to be basically an abridged season. I think Edward Waters College is playing 5 games. I think for the most part, a lot of the HBCUs are playing a 5-game schedule, which is basically equivalent to what most of the other big time schools did. I think Ohio State played only 5 games. I think most of the Pac-12 schools did that too. So it's gonna be fun. I'm really interested and really looking forward to it. So we'll have football all the way through until at least the middle to end of April, and only have a little short time this year before we get back to the regular football. Let's move on. This has been pretty interesting. With you know we had talked about the Jaguars hiring of Urban Meyer, and we both gave our opinions. And I wasn't too thrilled about it because I had concerns about his health, and you get things going that seem to jump ship. But also the fact is, you're coming from the college game and the going into the NFL game, and would he be able to adjust? Now, it's still yet to be seen, but and I was for the most part at first happy with the hiring of his staff. Um, then he had to hire that everybody has been talking about lately, and the abrupt resignation. But what I really was kind of what took me aback about was how Urban Meyer handled the interview process with the media, and for lack of a better phrase, his misspeaking about the crossing paths with him and that coach. Some people could say he just a straight out lied, but in college football, you can get away with that stuff, especially in you're the king of the castle when you're at college football. You're at Florida and Ohio State. They let stuff slide. They don't really press you on these questions. But when you get in the NFL, they don't care about that stuff. It don't matter who you are, no matter what city, whether you're a small market like Jacksonville or a big market like New York City. You got to learn how to handle the media. I think he got a wake up call in that this week.
It's interesting. You phrase it as a wake up call. I phrase it as a slap in the face.
Okay.
And just because of the fact, here's how a lot of people don't understand how sports media markets work. When you're coaching, owning, running a team in a major top 10 market, I say New York, LA, Miami, there's about 30 to 40 media members in a room.
Mm-hmm.
And the markets go top 10, top 20, top 25, then top 40. Jacksonville is a top 40. That doesn't mean they're a lower market because there's tiers fall past top 40. But when you walk into a top 40 media sports room, there's about 15 to 20 media members, which means we all got time to dissect everything you say. Whereas if I was sitting in a room in New York, I'm probably writing a story on you and 4 other people. So when you work here in a market like you do, Mr. Meyer, everything you do and say will, 1, be taken for gospel, 2, be taken at your very word, and 3, will be assumed the truth until I get done doing my job and finding out it's a lie. And so when you go and hire someone like Chris Doyle, who has a legit history with allegations of bullying, belittling, and even racism, by the way, those aren't my words, you automatically take a risk. And it's interesting because Meyer has gone on record for trying to downplay the transition between college and NFL. Even saying stuff like I now get to coach all the players that I sent to the league. Which in some aspects are true. That's cool. But here's the thing: no one gives a damn. And on top of that, no one gives a damn. 2, you have come into a situation where you either win now or get fired later. And so, all respect due to Urban Meyer. I've spoken on how much I did not agree with that personal hire, but you were the quote unquote king of college football in terms of coaching. Everywhere you went as a college football coach, he won. Utah, Florida, Ohio, State. And so, yeah, you come with certain collateral that you can spend. The problem is you're in Jacksonville, Florida. And we got all the time in the world to dissect every little thing you say and every little thing you do. So in for instance, there's only now two syndicated radio stations covering the Jacksonville Jaguars with at least 4 to 5 people covering the same team. 3 major newspaper outlets with 3 to 4, top ranked AP award winning writers. Not to mention, of course, every team has their own NFL, Sports Illustrated, ESPN writers covering their teams. All in all, that's about 18 to 20 people. So we got time to call you a liar and call it to your face because you're gonna have to see us every week. Mm-hmm. And so I think the whole Chris Doyle thing, as Urban Meyer said, this is a different time in the world, and if you know that, you should probably act accordingly.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. This was his hire so far showed a little cultural diversity. He had a little bit of everything. He brought people from different backgrounds. He brought guys up from the college ranks. He brought guys from other teams that have been successful in the NFL. And I was kind of starting to warm up to the fact that he was got the job and that he was going to do the right thing because of the hires that he made. And it was going to seem like he's going to be more of the CEO coach, which I could see and envision him in that role as being a man who's a leader of men and getting the best out of those guys. Similar to Pete Carroll, how Pete Carroll has done things with the Seattle Seahawks. And then he had that misstep in decision. And I have a hard time believing that other people in that building didn't tell him, dude, stop, don't do this. I'll be hard pressed to find anybody that said that they didn't tell him not to make that hire. And, he thought he had a little collateral and he spent it on that one, and that backfired on him because of not just the local media here. I've seen a whole bunch of national TV shows just roasting him over what he did. And especially by the black analysts around there. Well, even white, because of the impact. Because if you get run out of Iowa, that's not a good thing. That's probably one of the more forgiving programs, and big time, but you can go hide type of programs. And when you get run out of there, that's not a good thing for you. And I don't know any place where you're going to find a job like that again, because that was something that you obviously had burnt several bridges and had several opportunities to correct your mistakes, and you didn't do it. And what it showed for Urban Meyer is that there's a reason why they still have these different rules, because he was pulling the good old boy network type of thing, especially, I knew him when I was at Utah when you didn't know him. No, you don't. And that's like what's the old saying on Friday, you don't have to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. He didn't have to, he didn't even have to go there. He could have just put out a simple statement. In my assessment of all who was available, I saw him as the best, point blank, bottom line. And he could probably lie his way out, but I really didn't do enough research and got to kind of slap on the hand by not doing enough research, or having his people do enough research by saying that, he didn't, I didn't do enough research, so I didn't know this guy's past, whatever. But he chose the path that he did, to answer the way he did it, and he's dealing with it now. So it's going to be interesting, because I don't think they've actually announced the hire to replace him yet. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Go ahead.
And I'll be honest with you, they won't announce the hire. That position literally is just one of those, you put it up, you list it, cool. Mm-hmm. But to even kind of expound on what you were saying, there's in the NFL, in any big major league market or organization, I should say, there's always a guy that's hired to check the guy that was hired to check the guy.
Yep.
And Urban Meyer does have tremendous pull. I think literally and of course the Jaguars will never come out and say it. He probably only answers to Shad Khan.
It is the only answer.
So,
He only answers to Shad.
So yeah, he doesn't even answer to his own general manager.
Right.
So I think there's like you alluded to, he spent a lot of collateral on the hire of Chris Doyle. Don't win now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you already started out with a slip up, so you got all the next few steps has got to be right on point, and everybody's got to understand and see why you're doing what you're doing, and including the draft. You know what I mean? And he was sitting 5 feet away from Trevor Lawrence. If you don't draft him now, whether you agree with the draft pick, I know we talked about our differences. It's going to look like, what are you doing? And so it's just going to go into that snowball of questioning everything that he does. Because, now people are going to have more and more ammunition to say, well, he's not a good fit he needs to go back into college football. And those questions are going to start coming. So he really is going to have to lean on the professionals at this level to help him get through. And he's got guys that's done it and been very successful at it. So hopefully he'll be smart about this, be more understanding and more open-minded to the people in on his staff, and let them help him be successful. And just sit there and take the wins, because I don't think he's going to do a whole bunch of coaching, really, and preparing for these game plans. He's got a good staff, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that with some experience and with Super Bowl rings and Super Bowl appearances at this level. So, I hope he's smart about it for the sake of the Jaguars and the Jaguars fan base, because they've been so desperate for a winner for so long, and hopefully that this works out. So, all right, let's go on to our next topic. We have been talking about this for a little bit, just off and on. This quarterback movement in the NFL is getting kind of crazy. We're going to start out with Dak Prescott. Why they're still hesitant to go ahead and put a long-term deal together with the Cowboys. Cowboys I don't understand that, because what are you going to get better right now? You're not in a position where you're going to be able to draft anybody that's going to be better than him. Unless you use some draft capital leverage, because I don't think they draft high enough to be able to get one of the better quarterbacks. I mean, you can probably get, one of the guys. You can get Mac Jones, or you can probably get Florida's quarterback, or there's a couple of guys out there. What's the young man from Texas A&M? You can get some guys. I mean, they found Dak in the 3rd round, so it's not around the realm of impossibility. But if Dak Prescott, who was going to be who they thought Dak Prescott was, they wouldn't have drafted him in the 3rd round. Same way with Tom Brady. If they ever knew Tom Brady was going to be the GOAT, he wouldn't have got drafted in the 3rd round, in 6th round. So you don't know, but you don't know. And even the 1st round picks are a crapshoot. So, but when you're talking about your evaluations, when everybody's doing their draft evaluations and grading these guys, it's going to be a person that's going to grade out better than Dak plays. You know what I mean? When they pick. So, and then I think if they did it right, they could have structured the deal similar to what the Kansas City did with Mahomes. So I think that's crazy. And then we're hearing the comments from Pittsburgh's general manager about the Roethlisberger situation. That's interesting. Also, we're talking about Seattle Seahawks and their maybe willingness to trade Russell Wilson. I mean, it's just. We can go on. We'll just start with those 3 right now, because we've already kind of did the Deshaun Watson thing. It's and the Carson Wentz. It's just one of these years, man. And I want to hear what you think about this.
Well, I can't even get far into the Dak Prescott thing, just to be honest with you, just because there's a for real tear in communications going on in Fort Worth, Texas. So whatever happens with that happens with that. Mm-hmm. But I will just to name a list of people who are currently, or I should say, going to be free agents coming up here in the next few weeks. Of course, Dak Prescott is ahead of that list, but you also got Jacoby Brissett, Mitch Trubisky, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tyrod Taylor, AJ McCarron, Andy Dalton, Colt McCoy, RG3, Matt Barkley, Nate Sudfeld, Cam Newton, Joe Flacco, Mike Glennon, Geno Smith, Blaine Gabbert, Jameis Winston, Brian Hoyer. Listen, I'm not saying that those are like the worst players in the league or nothing like that. But all I am saying is that outside of maybe Cam Newton, of course, Dak Prescott, I kind of tip my hat a little bit to Andy Dalton, but it's not a massive array of talent sitting there waiting to get called. And a lot of those guys are honestly number two QBs.
Mm-hmm.
And practice squad at best. But the point that I'm making is that if a la Dallas Cowboys, few other squads, if you got them, keep them, and because they're like you said earlier, the draft is a crapshoot. They're either going to be good or they won't.
Mm-hmm.
They're either going to do for you or they don't. So I won't say go draft you a QB because I'm trying to convince people to tell my team not to do that. But I will say that if you got a QB in camp right now, keep him because unless you're willing to make that bet, you just shooting in the dark.
Yeah, you really are. I mean, Trey Lance is getting a lot of high draft projections, and I don't think he played a full 2 seasons worth of football. I think he played in 2 games this past season, and they're going basically what they thought were on to. I think a lot of people he is being compared to Mahomes and his physical ability and the game style and the way he plays, and they're thinking they can project him into the same type of production that Mahomes is gonna have, and you can't say that because one thing you can't judge by looking at it is a man's heart and a man's intelligence. That's something that has to be revealed to you by them. And I don't know. I don't know if I would, mortgage a first round pick on a guy that has a little bit, just a very few games of experience, and at the FCS level at that. It's not even the top, Power Five level. Not then. Now that's not knocking the young man because we obviously Carson Wentz had a little bit of success in the league before this falling out, and there's been other players at that level, a la Tony Romo, that's had success. So there's guys at the level that can have to come in and have success. But like I said, how are you willing to wait? I mean, how many of these guys, you're going to take and as we're being known the Jaguars, how bad that sets your organization back if you pick a quarterback and it doesn't work out. You're resetting again and again and again. So you got to make sure you get it right. And I mean, people that get it right they're set up for the next 10 to 15 years. And so that's the big difference. So you do your due diligence, and I actually right now think you should hedge your bets. I remember back in the late '80s, early '90s when Dallas picked 2 quarterbacks, Trey Aikman and I forgot what his name was. It Erickson, the former the Miami Hurricane quarterback, just to make sure that one of those was hit for them. So I don't have a problem with if you think those guys are good enough to make it the drafting more than one quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised, and it wouldn't hurt me being a Jaguar fan if the Jaguars picked Trevor Lawrence and then came back and picked another quarterback, Florida's quarterback or Mac Jones or somebody, just to make sure that they found somebody in there. It's always good to have a good backup too. So and especially when you got as many needs as the Jaguars have, they have needs all over the place. So you want to get that home run hit at quarterback because that covers as most of these great quarterbacks will show you, that covers up a lot of your ugly spots. I mean, where would Green Bay be right now without their quarterback situation and the way it is? I mean, and they even drafted a quarterback to replace. It's you and I mean, look at what the 49ers did for those years when they had Joe Montana and then came right back that with Steve Young. My goodness, you gotta have that. You got. I mean, the Colts did that for a while with Luck replacing Peyton Manning to keep your program going. And if you the Jaguars had chances after chances to draft the Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watsons of the world. I mean, so many great quarterbacks have come and went past year that are still playing at high levels, that the Jaguars right now wouldn't even be in this situation. Probably definitely wouldn't be in the same coaching staff right now if they would have made the right quarterback pick.
I mean, we can always, first of all, looking in the past, you're always going to have 20/20 vision.
Mm-hmm.
But and I can't say Pat Mahomes would be Pat Mahomes wearing teal.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say a Deshaun Watson would be a Deshaun Watson wearing teal. Vice versa with Lamar Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater, Russ Wilson, whoever. But at the end of the day, with draft looming and everything that got going on, this isn't the year to tip your hand with quarterbacks in free agency, and that just is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, especially with all the cap situation, because I think it might be actually going down this year. So people are trying to be very, very smart with all their capital, money capital, and draft capital. So it's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to wrap up this show with talking about this. Well, I saw the tweet about the Jaguars going back to the past by going and making the primary colors teal again. Before they, I guess one under the last administration, they went to this black base. I know they've always had black in the uniform, but the primary jersey was the black. Now the primary jersey is going to go back to teal, and I think they've still got a couple more years before they can change the actual uniform again. So it's gonna be, obviously. So now most of all the home games, they'll be wearing the teal jerseys, probably with white pants again, maybe more the traditional one when they first came out in the '90s. So I like it. I like the fact, because I always loved the teal. I thought the teal went good with the black helmet. I thought the black should be your alternative uniform. That's just my personal opinion. And it's, we'll see with the fan base, and it always got money involved because you'll be able to sell more new jerseys and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking it's going to be interesting. I thought it was a good, interesting tidbit to just come across that.
Well, actually, a lot of people don't know the black as the primary uniform was a shot con decision.
Mm-hmm.
It happened actually during, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Malarkey's.
That's right. When he first got in, you're right. He did say that. Yeah, I remember now.
And just because you're the new guy, you're the owner, you want to make a drastic change, piss off the fans a little bit. Dude, he wanted to distance himself from the Weaver administration. And the Weavers was the one who was really teal this, teal that, teal this, teal that. Which, by the way, if little history note, which is why they have teal seats inside of the stadium, because the Weavers wanted teal seats, and that was the reason behind him choosing those black uniforms. And it was actually during the old uniform set before they went to the Nike uniforms. The line upside here and the one line, the two lines in the middle.
Yeah, those little pinstripe lines.
Yeah, I love those. I love the uniform set, by the way.
The Mojo uniform.
Yeah. And so those were the reasons behind the black uniforms. Now, the reason behind the actual going back to teal change comes from a local organization known as the Bowl City Brigade. They actually started a petition 3 years ago to get those uniforms to be the teal uniform to be the home and primary uniform. And that was actually during the, as they call them, the bowl uniform era here in Jacksonville. And so they didn't get them during the bowl era uniform, which they would actually prefer because it was a 4-color uniform. And those 4 colors being teal, black, white, and gold. Mm-hmm. But, they got them now. And as you said earlier, they actually have 3 years left on the uniform set that they have now before the NFL will allow them to change uniforms if they so choose to. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good move for the fans. That's what the fans have been wanting for quite some time. The fact that they even wore all teal uniforms, even though they had an all teal set for the last 3 years, last season was a surprise. just because honestly they didn't even know that the Teal bottoms were even in the building. So the fans enjoyed it. That's what the fans want. Shad Khan has been very drastic in making sure that if we're not winning, we need to find some way to make our fans happy. And so that was the motive behind the move. Of course, they're going out with a huge media push. It was announced quietly a month ago that they would be moving the teal uniforms, and basically the move is so that if when you have a certain color, well, NFL rules first of all, by the way, you guys, NFL rules state that if you have a certain primary home uniform, that primary home uniform has to be used at a certain number of games. So, a la the NFL rule, you're only allowed to wear that alternate home uniform 3 times a season. And of course, fans were so in love with the teal uniform, and being the fact that our home primary uniform was black, which would not allow to do a throwback uniform, which is the actual push that the Bowl City Brigade was trying to get. So if they can now being able to move your home uniform to a teal uniform allows you to also do a throwback uniform, which the throwback uniform, of course,
was
was
teal.
teal. So that was the initiative. Now that that's happened, next season, sorry fans, the NFL will allow you to have a throwback uniform because the throwback uniform is teal. Your primary jersey is now teal, so you may or may not see that. Can't make no promises. Sorry, that's all the inside information I'm allowed to give. But yeah, and it's a good move. The Bowl City Brigade got what they want. Bowl City Brigade holds it's a 500 plus member organization right now. So if they want something in Jacksonville, as far as the Jacksonville Jaguars are concerned, those are the ones to get it done.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. All right, yeah, that was great. That was a lot of good information from me, definitely for our fans, and we want to end the show with that. Once again, I'd like to tell everybody if you can enjoy what we're doing here, please like and subscribe and to our YouTube channel. Also, just hit us up. Let me know if any other show topics that you might have. I do read them all. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Car, Watch Game Film, Team Sportswear Direct, also Women's Tackle Football League, and Laces Out Foundation with the DEMP Project. So, guys, until next week, along with my illustrious co-host Andre L. Sullivan, we'll see you there. Be good and God bless to you.